ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So we are discussing from second canto of Srimad Bhagvatam and we are on chapter 9. Chapter is entitled Answers by Citing the Lord's Version. So in this chapter, Shukdev Goswami is giving the answers of Parikshit Maharaj, which he asked in the 8th chapter. So 22 questions Parikshit Maharaj asked, beginning with the question of how the relationship between the matter and the spirit is possible, and what's the difference between the Lord and the living entities. So in response to this question, Parikshit Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami says actually there is no relation. It is just a dream state, Swapna Drashtur Ivanjasa. And then to describe the difference between the Lord and the living entity, Shukdev Goswami quotes a conversation which happened between Lord and Brahmaji. So in the beginning of the creation. So Brahmaji was completely confused as he appeared on the lotus, and he tried to find out the source of the lotus. He could not find. He came back and he heard the words tapa, tapa. He did tapasya for 1,000 celestial years, and as a result of that, Lord appeared. Lord showed him the spiritual world, and Lord shook hands with him, and he starts. And then Brahmaji, he asked 4 questions, which we discussed in the last class. So in response to those 4 questions, now Supreme Lord is speaking the answers, and those answers, they form the 4 verses, the condensed verses, Chatushloki Bhagvatam. So in 26th verse, he asked about the spiritual and the material form of the Lord. Then in 27th verse, he asked about Yogmaya and Mahamaya. In 28th verse, he asked how Lord carries out his pastimes in relation to Yogmaya and Mahamaya. And in 29th verse, he asked for instructions for attaining his desired goal. So in response to these questions, Krishna, he told him that I will tell you everything. Jnanam te aham savijnanam idam vakshyami, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also. Here also Krishna is telling to Arjun, to Brahmaji, Jnanam param guhyam me yad vijnana samanvitam sarahasyam tadangam cha grahana gaditam maya. I'll tell you Jnana, Vijnana, Sarahasya and Tadangam. So I'll tell you about these 4 aspects. So then he says, Sarahasyam is Prema Bhakti, Tadangam is Sadhana Bhakti. And then Krishna's Lord tells in 32nd verse that by my mercy, you will attain the perfect realization of all the avatars. In whatever form I'll appear, yavanaham yatha bhavo yad guna rupa karmakaha. So wherever I'll appear, All the dimensions, intentions, form, qualities, pastimes will be known to you. So then he starts this Chatushloki Bhagavatam. And this Chatushloki Bhagavatam, it is the essence of Srimad Bhagvatam. Bhagavatera Sambandha Abhidheya Prayojan Chatushlokite Prakate Tara Koriyache Lakshan. As you know, the Lord is telling to Sanatana Goswami. So this Sambandha, Abhidheya and Prayojan, they are manifested in these 4 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is known as Chatushloki. So last time we discussed 33rd verse tells about Gyan, 34th Vigyan, 35th Sadhana Bhakti, and 36th Prem Bhakti. So we'll start with the 33rd verse. So these 4 verses, they are like condensed cotton ball. So entire Vedic knowledge, Bhagavatam, although it has so many different pastimes, but it is all like a cotton ball. You can make a cotton ball into a very small ball, and you can spread it and make it a huge one also. So these 4 verses, they are like very compact, condensed cotton ball. The same instructions which are there in all throughout Bhagavatam, the same instructions in condensed form is given to Brahmaji by Supreme Lord himself. So we'll start with the 33rd verse. So today we'll go for a little less time because there's few devotees are there. So 5 o'clock तक हम लोग करते हैं. 3:30 is there. 1.5 hours we'll do. 33rd verse. Aham evasam eva agre. Anyad sadasatparam. Yo avashishye swastham.
Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of his creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead, and after creation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead.
So, if you see Subodhini in one of the last sections, the entire Chatushloki is explained in brief. It is there in the end. So, I think है तो इसमें पता ही कौन सा पेज है telling.
194.
हाँ 294.
194.
94. ओके ये जो नया वाला है उसमें है 209 पेज नंबर में एंड पुराने वाले में 194 है शायद. So this is the 4 seed verses of Bhagavatam. So this says Aham eva, I alone. Aham eva, I alone existed. Agre, in the beginning of the universe. Aham eva, asam agre. Asam means existed. Agre, previous to the creation of this universe, I alone existed. And na anyat. So I am non-different from Sat Asat. I am non-different from that which is superior to all cause and effect. Sat Asat Param. So I am beyond this material cause and effect. So that is what is described. Sat Asat Param. I am beyond this material nature, cause and effect. And Pashchad Aham. After the creation of the universe, only after this universe will be destroyed, Yah avashishyet. Avashishyet means that which remains. Whatever remains is so asmi aham. Only I remain in the end also, at the time of destruction. So this is a very, very important verse which establishes the supremacy of Supreme Lord Krishna. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he quotes series of verses, galaxy of verses, establishing how Krishna is the Supreme Lord who existed in the beginning of creation and no one else existed. So we'll see the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport also. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that, the Lord, as he's speaking to Brahmaji, he touches his chest and he's pointing his forefinger. I alone existed, before the creation. Aham eva. Eva means excluding all others. Nobody else was there. Only I was there. I alone existed. So we have to understand that this verse is talking about material world, not spiritual world. Aham eva asam agre. When this material world was not existing, I was existing. So that's how it is described, that we have to see things, we have to see Vedic text in context. मतलब कहाँ पे लिखा है, क्यों लिखा है? Otherwise, some people will say, "Acha, so spiritual world also existed at some time and not existing at some time." No, this verse is talking about material world. This material world was created at one point of time. Before that, Lord was there. Because when Lord showed this spiritual world to Brahmaji, so one verse came there. Pravartate yatra rajas tamastayo sattvam cha mishram nachakala vikramaha. So in Vaikuntha, there is no time. There is no Rajogun, there is no Tamogun. There is no influence of time. So spiritual world is beyond time. So there is no creation, no maintenance, no destruction. So this verse is talking about material world, not spiritual world. Aham eva asam agre. In the beginning of creation, before the creation, I was existing and no one else. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. First we'll see Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's purport and then we'll see the purport of Srila Prabhupada also. So I have put मैंने इसमें डाला था, वो last time PDF डाला था ना, वो उसमें आप रेफर कर सकते हैं. So in that, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes many verses. Vasudevo va idam agra asin na brahma na cha shankaraha. So Vasudev exists previous to the universe. And Brahma and Shankara did not exist before that. There is another verse which he is quoting. Purusho hi vai narayanaha. So all these verses Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is quoting to prove that Krishna is the Supreme Lord who existed in the beginning of creation and nobody else was there. So, Ekoha Vahe Narayan Asit. Narayan alone existed. So, this is another verse which he is quoting. Another verse he is quoting is Purusho Havai Narayano Akamayat. The Lord Narayan desired and all the living entities came out. So this is another very important. So this verse says from Narayan, Brahma was born and all living entities appeared. So somebody may say, अरे भगवद गीता में तो बोलते हैं we are eternal. क्या 2.12 Natvevaham Jato Nasam Natvam Neme Janaja. There was never a time when all you were not existing, we were not existing. So what is the meaning of this? All the living entities appeared. मतलब they appeared at one point of time. ऐसा कैसे? एक और शब्द है ना, एको बहुश्याम. One became many. उसका मतलब क्या है? So that does not mean that living entities were created at the time of creation. This is referring to the beginning of creation. So before the creation universe starts, all the living entities, they are in the body of Mahavishnu. They are in the abdomen of Mahavishnu. तो उसमें ही रहते हैं. And when creation starts, so first thing which happens is what? What is the first step in the creation? सबसे पहले क्या होता है? The dravya comes out of the body of Mahavishnu, and then what happens? The Lord Vishnu glances on it, and in that glance is impregnated with, the dravya is impregnated with 4 things: jiva, kala, karma, and swabhava. So that time, living entities which were there in the body of Mahavishnu, they appear out of it. That's what is said, Eko Bhahusyam. It is not that living entities were created. No, they were not created. They just appeared from the body of Brahma, from the body of Mahavishnu. And then he quotes another verse from Bhagavatam. Bhagwan ek asedam agra atmatmanam vibhu atma ichhanugatavatma nana matyupalakshanaha. So this is the 3rd canto verse where Maitreya is telling that Bhagwan, who exists in the form of Paramatma and Brahman, alone existed before the creation of the universe. Nobody else existed. When the desires to create bodies of the jivas were absent. So that's how, there are so many quotations which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is giving. So when the Lord says that he alone existed, it means that his associates in Vaikuntha, they were always existing. It was not that Bhagwan akele the. No, there was never a time when Lord is alone. So in the material world, the creation starts at one point of time. Like in spiritual world, it is always there. So Chakravarti Thakur says that the dham of the Lord is eternal. And he quotes the 2nd chapter, 2nd canto, 8th chapter. Sachapi yatra purusho vishwa sthiti udbhavapyayaha muktvatma mayam mayesha shete sarva guhashayaha. So there, Parikshit Maharaj is asking this question, that please describe where this creator, where this Purusha, who is the creator, maintainer, destroyer, where he is staying. Where is the abode of this creator? Kahan rehte kahin? So, Dham always existed, and then Dham existed, so Dham is not empty, right? Devotees are there. So devotees are also existing. So then he quotes another verse from Skanda Puran. So where it is said that Nachyavante himad bhakta mahatyam pralayapadi atochyuto akhile loke sa ekah sarvago avyayaha. Nachyavante, Chavante means destroy. My devotees, they never get destroyed, even at the time of pralaya. So the spiritual abode, which is full of devotees, it never gets destroyed. So ato achyuto akhila, only the Lord is indestructible and all pervading. So Lord is all pervading and ever existing, and devotees, they also are ever existing. So that is the understanding of this verse, that the devotees were existing always. Sridhar Swami says that somebody may ask question, when Lord was existing alone, so who was doing chamar to the Lord? Bhagwan ki seva kaun kar raha tha? So therefore he quotes this verse and says that no, the devotees are always there. Devotees of the Lord, they never get destroyed. So that is the understanding. And then, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur continues and he quotes many other verses. He says that if one says that presently the king does not perform any activities, it means that he does not perform his activities as a king, but does not mean he does not eat or sleep. वो चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर के परपोट में है, इसमें पीपीटी में नहीं होगा. So that does not mean if he is not acting as a king, that means he must be doing something, right? खा रहे होंगे, सो रहे होंगे, कुछ तो कर रहे होंगे. So therefore, the Lord, although he was existing only before the creation, that means existing मतलब क्या? Existing मतलब something was happening, right? So that यहाँ पे वही example दे रहे हैं. Existing means he is doing something. If he is not doing the activities of creation, then he is doing something else. Existing मतलब खाली बैठे ऐसा नहीं. He is doing some activity. And then nanyat yat sat asat param. So somebody may say that you are saying, the Lord is saying that everything is coming from him, but in many places it is said that everything comes from Brahman. बहुत जगह ऐसा लिखते हैं, everything is coming from Brahman. So how to understand this? Because sometimes it is said it is only impersonal Brahman which existed. So in answer to this, it is said that Brahman, which is superior to me, superior to the cause and effect, is non-different from me. Sat asat param. I am beyond Brahman also. Brahmano hi pratishtha. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Brahmano hi pratishtha aham. I am the basis of Brahman. And Paschad aham yat etat cha. So after the creation, what exists is the Lord only. Yo avashishye, jo bach jata hai, wo kaun hai? वो भगवान ही है. After the creation, only the Lord exists. So he's saying, Chakravarti Thakur writes that Lord says, I exist as Bhagwan in Vaikuntha, and I exist as Paramatma in all the other universes, and I exist as various avatars also. So that's how it is described. So then somebody may say, Brahma may say, Acha, you are not the earth, devtas or animal. Does that mean that you are not complete? So this verse answers that I alone am the universe. Etat, paschad aham yat etat. I am this universe. So this universe is my material form. Jo bhi dikh raha hai. It is not that I am existing only as Paramatma and Bhagwan. I am all the manifestations. They are coming from me only. वो पहले हमने पढ़ा ना, वासुदेवो परो वेदा, वासुदेवो परम अखा, वासुदेव परम ज्ञानम, वासुदेव परम तप. Everything is coming from Lord only. So that is my material form. So Brahma ji asked about the material form and the spiritual form. First question wahi tha na. Please tell me about your material and spiritual form. So therefore he is saying, this universe is my material form, which appears and disappears. But my spiritual form always exists in the spiritual world. So this word aham comes 3 times. Aham eva asam agre, paschad aham yadetaccha, yo avashishye so asmi aham. 3 times Lord is telling to tell the 3 phases of time: past, present, and future. In all the 3 phases of time, it is the Lord who is always existing. Nobody else exists in all these 3 phases of time. So that's how Lord is telling this knowledge of the superior and inferior form. Superior form is spiritual form. Inferior form is material form. So therefore, Brahma should have Vigyan of spiritual form also. विज्ञान है, ज्ञान तो दे रहे हैं, विज्ञान क्या है? Realization. So that realization will occur when Brahma will practice Bhakti Yoga. So by Bhakti Yoga, by chanting, by hearing, Brahma will realize this. And wo Bhakti Yoga will be explained in the 4th verse. Tadangam. Sarahasyam Tadangam. So that was the first question answered. First question was what? Please tell me about your spiritual and material forms. So he told that material form exists in some time and disappears in some time. Universe is a material form. But spiritual form, it is always existing in the spiritual world, Vaikuntha. So that was the first question answered. Then the second question. Second question was, how are the spiritual and material energies of the Lord working? ये काम कैसे करती हैं ये सब दोनों शक्तियां? Please tell me that. So in response to this, okay, before that, we'll see the purport Prabhupada is writing. So Prabhupada writes, we should note carefully that personality of Godhead is addressing Lord Brahma and specifying with great emphasis himself, pointing out that it is he who existed before the creation, it is he only who maintains, and it is he only who remains after the annihilation. So then Prabhupada writes that the impersonalist puts forth the theory of oneness in the sense that Brahma, being the same principle of I, because he is an emanation from the I, is identical with I, and thus is nothing more than I. So that is the impersonal theory. Everything is one. Sab ek hai. So here Lord is telling, no, not everything is one. I was existing before. You were not existing in the beginning of the creation of Brahma. So Lord is telling that Lord is the creator and Brahma is the created. He is the creator I and Brahma is the created I. So that is the difference between two I. Both are Atma only, but one is Atma, other is Paramatma. Both are Brahman, but one is Brahman, other is Parabrahma. And then Prabhupada quotes this verse, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. So they are qualitatively one. They are both Nitya and Chetan. Living entity is also Nitya and Chetan. Supreme Lord is also Nitya and Chetan. But Eko Bahunam, that one becomes many. When? At the beginning of the creation. Supreme Lord becomes many. That we discussed. That happens in the beginning of the creation. It is not that wo generate ho rahe living entities creation mein nahi, aisa nahi. They are always there. And then Prabhupada writes in the next paragraph, no one can deny the personality of both the Lord and Brahma. Therefore, in the ultimate issue, both are persons. This conclusion refutes the conclusions of impersonalist. And then Prabhupada quotes some of the verses. Vasudevo Vaidam Agra Asin, that we saw. Okay. So then Prabhupada quotes all these verses which we discussed. From Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj is quoting Sachapi Yatra Purusho. So how the Lord is the cause of creation, maintenance, destruction. Please tell me where he is living. Rehte kahan pe hain? Where does he lie down? So he's asking about the Vaikuntha. And then he quotes a verse from Skanda Puran, where the devotees of the Lord, they are also eternal. So all that Prabhupada is quoting. And Prabhupada quotes many verses which are quoted by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And then he quotes from Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad. There is a hymn, Atmaivedam Agra Asit Purusha Vidaha. This mantra indicates that Krishna, even before the appearance of the Purusha incarnation. So Prabhupada is establishing that Krishna is a source of even Purusha avatars. And then he quotes a verse from Bhagavad Gita. यस्मात् शरम अतीतोहम अक्षराद अपि च उत्तमा अतोस्मि लोके वेदे च प्रथिता पुरुषोत्तमा. So Shara and Akshara, beyond this material world and beyond this, even before the appearance of Purusha avatars, Akshara, even before that, Krishna was there. So Krishna is the source of Mahavishnu also. And then Prabhupada is telling that, somebody may say that Brahman existed. So that means everything is coming from Brahman. So Prabhupada is refuting that also. I alone existed. Krishna is, Lord is telling, Aham eva asam. I alone existed. So Brahman is also, depending on the Lord. Brahmano hi pratishtha. Prabhupada quotes that from Bhagavad Gita 14.27. And then he quotes from another chapter. Lord is telling to Brahmaji, So ayam te abhitastata bhagavan vishwa bhavanaha. There is no other cause of all causes than the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada is quoting so many verses, establishing that Aham eva, Krishna is the source of all the existence. He was only existing. Then Prabhupada says, therefore this verse, Aham eva, never indicates anything other than Supreme Lord. And one should therefore follow the path of Brahma Sampradaya, or the path from Brahmaji to Narad to Vyas, and make it a point in life to realize the Supreme Lord, Hari. This very confidential instruction to the pure devotees was also given to Arjun and to Brahma. That's what Krishna tells. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyama sheshata. So that's what Krishna told to Arjuna also. Okay, so now the second question. So how these material and spiritual energies are working? So ये कैसे काम करते हैं? So in response to that,
एक मिनट होगी. इसमें जो बताया 2033 का अभिधेय है, तो that is the relation that Lord is establishing कि मैं पहले भी था, अभी भी informative. So this helps us to know कि Lord से हमारा relation कैसा है.
Abhideya is 33, that is Sambandha Gyan.
Sambandh.
Yes.
Sambandh.
Sambandh. Gyan hai. Who is God?
I was there, I am still there,
Yes.
I will be there.
Yes.
That is the Sambandh.
Sambandha Gyan.
Lord is trying to tell.
Yes. So that is the Sambandh means you have to know भाई कौन है, ये क्या कहाँ रहते हैं, क्या करते हैं, उनके साथ relation क्या है. So 33 and 34 verses, they tell Sambandha Gyan. 36th verse gives Abhideya and 35th verse gives Prayojan. 36th जो है वो अभिधेय है और 35th जो है वो प्रयोजन. पहले प्रयोजन बता रहे हैं, बाद में संबंध अभिधेय बता रहे हैं. तो अभिधेय क्या है? अभिधेय साधन भक्ति, वो बाद में बता रहे हैं. ओके, सो नेक्स्ट वर्स. ऋते अर्थम यत् प्रतीयेत न प्रतीयेत चात्मनि तद्विद्यादात्मनो मायाम् भासो यथा तमः.
O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, it is without relations to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so this verse has two meanings. So as you can see in the slide, वो मैंने आपको ये जो भेजा है उसमें है. So Brahmaji asked about the spiritual energy, Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. So in this one verse, Lord is telling about both, how to understand the workings of Mahamaya and how to understand the workings of Yogamaya. So the first translation is for the workings of Mahamaya. So tad vidyad atmano maya. One should understand my maya, atmano maya, my maya, by whose power, yat, by whose power, artham pratiyeta. Artha means जो real है, जो वास्तविकता में, अर्थ. The real objects are perceived through vidya. Artham pratiyeta. And na artham pratiyeta. And false objects are perceived through avidya. So we'll discuss that everything in detail. Rite atmani, in relation to the self. Just as yatha bhaso yatha tamaha, just as the light reveals some objects and darkness hides them. Yatha bhaso, abhaso, yatha tamaha. Just like light is there, so objects are revealed, darkness is there, the objects are hidden. Similarly, Vidya potency, we have discussed in earlier classes also, Mahamaya has 3 potencies. Anyone remembers? What are the 3 potencies of Mahamaya? 3 parts.
Vidya potency. Avaranaत्मक शक्ति.
और? And
प्रक्षेपात्मक.
नहीं, प्रक्षेपात्मिका तो अविद्या में आ गया. So Vidya potency, Avidya potency and Pradhan. So Pradhan provides all the ingredients, the gross and subtle ingredients to create this material universe. Avidya potency makes the jivas identify with the gross and subtle bodies. A person starts identifying, I am this body, I am not this soul. So under the role of avidya potency, one starts having this misconception. And if one wants to enjoy this material world, then the Pradhan provides the ingredients. This material world is created by material energy. So Pradhan provides the material ingredients. And avidya makes one forget, I am controller. He thinks I am controller, I am enjoyer. So this is all done under the avidya potency. But if one wants to understand that he is not his body, he is soul, then he comes under the vidya potency. So this verse says, Rite artham pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani. So real object means Atma is the only thing which is real. That is perceived under vidya potency. And na artham pratiyeta, false objects means this material world is perceived through avidya potency. So that is how Mahamaya is working in this world. But if somebody wants to understand Bhakti, so under vidya potency one can understand Atma. So Atma Sakshatkar is under Vidya potency. But Paramatma Sakshatkar or Bhagwan Sakshatkar comes under Yogamaya, not Mahamaya. Mahamaya के अंडर की जो विद्या पोटेंसी है, you can understand only Atma. परमात्मा को समझना है, भगवान को समझना है, then Yogamaya. So then avidya potency has 2 parts. प्रक्षेपात्मिका और विक्षेपात्मिका और आवरणात्मिका. आवरणात्मिका और अविक्षेपात्मिका और प्रक्षेपात्मिका. So that is the 2 potency. And then under vidya potency, one starts identifying the real self. So na artham. So under the vidya potency, what happens? Na artham na pratiyeta. न अर्थ, अर्थ मीन्स जो सत्य नहीं है वो नहीं दिखाएगी. A person, when he starts identifying मैं शरीर नहीं हूं, मैं आत्मा हूं, so he will not see the material world in an attractive way. न अर्थम न प्रतीयेत, जो अर्थ नहीं है, निरर्थक है, वो देखेगा ही नहीं वो. एंड अर्थम प्रतीयेत, जो अर्थ है वो दिखेगा. रियल ऑब्जेक्ट्स विल बी शोन. समझ रहे हैं ना? The real objects will be shown, and the false glamour will not be shown to a person who is Atma Sakshatkari. So, yatha bhaso yatha tamah, whenever light is there, so he will be seeing, oh, यहाँ पे rope है, snake नहीं है. He will not be confused and bewildered. So, that is the purpose of Vidya potency of Mahamaya. Artham na pratiyeta and artham pratiyeta. जो है सत्य वो दिखाती है, जो सत्य नहीं है वो नहीं दिखाती है. न अर्थम, so rite अर्थम प्रतीयेता न प्रतीयेता चात्मनि. So न अर्थम न प्रतीयेता, जो अर्थम नहीं है वो नहीं दिखाएगी. प्रतीत मतलब appears, जो है ही नहीं वो नहीं दिखेगा, और जो है वही दिखेगा under the Vidya potency. But under the Mahamaya Avidya potency, what happens? अर्थम न प्रतीयेता, जो है वो नहीं दिखेगा और जो नहीं है वही दिखेगा. So that's how Mahamaya is working. That's how great people they speak. उसमें एक ही श्लोक में इतने सारे मीनिंग बोल देते हैं. So that is the understanding of this first, how Mahamaya is working. Okay, any questions so far? समझ गए?
So, Prabhuji, devotees at that we see that from the Adho Shraddha to the Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, is to the Nishtha stage, and sometimes the Yogamaya, the devotees who are under Yogamaya or Mahamaya, so how we can identify, because till the time he reaches his Anartha Nivritti is over and he reaches to Nishtha stage, is he under Yogamaya or is he under Mahamaya?
So till the time he is not completely pure, sometimes he falls under Yogamaya, sometimes he is under Mahamaya. That is the position of Tatastha Jiva, na? So when we are pure in our consciousness, then we are completely in Yogamaya. But sometimes we are in Mahamaya, sometimes we get attracted by things of the world, and sometimes we are in Yogamaya when we are attracted by spiritual topics. So this up and down will keep on happening till the time we are not purified. That is the role of Mahamaya, to keep testing us so that we are completely pure. Then only we will go to the spiritual world. Otherwise, and if in the same body, if we go to the spiritual world, problem ho jayega. All the others are happy seeing other devotees advancing and we'll be envious. ये सब मेरे से ज़्यादा कैसे advance हो गए? So that's how, till the time we are not purified.
All the liberated souls come under Yogamaya. That means they are under Yogamaya.
So that second meaning we will be discussing. अभी तो ये बस महामाया का role discuss कर रहे हैं. So the same verse tells about Yogamaya also, because that's what Brahmaji asked. Please tell me about the workings of Mahamaya and Yogamaya. So now he is telling the working of Mahamaya. So the Rite Artham, so na Artham, na Pratiyeta, when he is under Vidya potency, and Artham Pratiyeta. But when he is in Avidya potency, Artham na Pratiyeta, जो है वो दिखेगा ही नहीं, आत्मा नहीं दिखेगी. He will not see the illusion of the world. And na Artham Pratiyeta, that which is nirarthak, he will see that only. So that is the working of Mahamaya. But then if he wants to understand Paramatma, then Vidya potency is not sufficient. Then he has to come under Yogamaya potency by practice of devotional service. Bhaktya mam abhijanati, Krishna says, by the practice of bhakti, one realizes Bhagavan. So Chakravarti Thakur writes, by amount and type of bhakti, that person realizes impersonal Brahman, that by small portion of bhakti, but not the qualified Brahman with knowledge and bliss. That is Bhagavan. So if the knowledge is not, if the bhakti is not so much, then he will reach only up to Brahman. But if the bhakti is very strong, then he'll see the Bhagavan feature also. He gives an example. Just like a person, just like if somebody is wearing a spectacles, like he has a weak vision. तो अभी मंदिर में दर्शन लेने जाएगा तो उसको क्या दिखेगा दूर से? उसको दूर से दिखेगा हाँ भगवान का कुछ तो रूप है, उसमें कुछ ज्वेलरी लगाया है, कुछ तो किया है, बट ही विल नॉट सी द ऑल डिटेल्स, फेस पे क्या है और बाल में और गले में कौन सा नेकलेस लगाया है. He will not be able to see that. So when this vidya potency is working, so he sees just something about Brahman. कुछ तो मतलब ब्लर दिखता है विद्या पोटेंसी के अंदर, दिखता है कुछ तो, लेकिन ब्लर दिखता है सब. But when he comes under the Yogamaya potency, then he starts seeing things clearly. So that is the first meaning, how Mahamaya is working. Now we'll see the second meaning, how the Yogamaya is working for liberated people. So he says, Tad vidyad atmano maya. You can see the slide. No, chat me. Tad vidyad atmano maya. So one should understand my Yogamaya, by whose power yat artham pratiyeta, and some objects are revealed and some objects are hidden. Yogamaya भी वही करती है, कुछ चीजों को प्रकट करती है और कुछ चीजों को छुपा के रखती है. किसको ऊपर योगमाया कार्य करती है? Those people who has realized the Lord. For on pure devotees, Yogamaya also acts. Any examples? Yogamaya covers the intelligence of pure devotees.
Yashodama is intelligence covered.
So that is the first example which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives. Okay, so in this slide we discussed on that previously. Avidya potency of the Lord, what he does? Na artham pratiyeta. So perception of non-existent items like scorpion or thief in darkness, leading to fear. Na artham pratiyeta. मतलब जो नहीं है उसको दिख रहा है. अगर अंधेरे में जा रहे हैं तो if there is some rope, you will think, अरे सांप तो नहीं है. So na artham pratiyeta. जो नहीं है वो दिखता है, लगता है, ऐसा होता है. Similarly, a person who is under the vikshepatmika shakti, he thinks, I am this body, this is my mind, this is my intelligence. And artham na pratiyeta, जो है वो दिखता नहीं है. जहां पे गड्ढा है वहां पे नहीं दिखेगा. So that's how avidya potency works. जो सांप नहीं है वो लगता है सांप है. And if there is some ditch, artham na pratiyeta, जो है वो नहीं दिखता है और जो नहीं है वो दिखता है. Similarly, the person who is under avidya potency, he cannot experience the bliss of Atma. जो है वो नहीं दिखेगा. And then vidya potency, how it works? Na artham na pratiyeta. That person, he will not identify with body, mind. And artham pratiyeta, he will experience the bliss of Atma. Okay, so now this second meaning of how Yogamaya is working. So first example is of Yashodamai. So as Yashodamai, she is seeing the Brahmand in the mouth of Krishna. So she is not bewildered by Mahamaya, she is bewildered by Yogamaya. So under this, Yogamaya perceived these things, but after a moment she did not perceive. अभी देखा, फिर योगमाया ने उसको कवर कर दिया. So that's how अर्थम न प्रतीयत, जो है वो नहीं दिख रहा है. So that's how Yogamaya also acts on liberated beings. Another example is given of So another example is given of Arjun. So Arjun, he saw the Virat Rupa, universal form. So when Arjuna, he saw the universal form, what was the expression? What he said? Please cover. So he said, Ajanata mahimanam tavedam maya pramadat pranayena vapi, yachava hasar tamasatyatosi vihar shayyashana bhojaneshu. He said, oh, in my ignorance, I, behaved with you in a friendly way. I called you, hey Sakhe, and I was not dealing with you in a respectful way. So, that's how Arjuna, when he saw this Virat Rupa, his Sakhya disappeared. But in Braja, this does not happen. So when Arjuna desired to see the form, Virat Rupa appeared. So the Virat Rupa pratiyeta, Virat Rupa dikh raha hai. And he could not see the two-handed form. Saumya Rupa na pratiyeta. And then when he became fearful and desired to see the two-handed form, then Saumya Rupa pratiyeta and Virat Rupa na pratiyeta. So that's how Yogamaya potency, she is acting on pure devotees, covering some things and making some things appear based on the desire of pure devotee, or to facilitate the workings, to facilitate the pastime. Pastime करने के लिए कुछ चीजें ढक देते हैं, कुछ चीजें appear हो जाती हैं. So that's how. Another example he gives is Brahma Vimohan Leela. So Brahma Vimohan Leela में क्या हो गया? Lord wanted to destroy the thinking of Brahmaji. Brahmaji is thinking, I am the controller. So for that, he orchestrated this entire pastime where Yogamaya, by her power, hid all the real calves. The real calves and the real cowherd boys, they were made invisible. Brahmaji, he took just the, copy cows and calves and, this cowherd boys. The original were not visible. So Yogamaya had covered them and showed the form of the cows and boys, and they were Krishna. So Krishna became later cows and boys. So that's how. And then ultimately all these forms disappeared, and then Brahma was seeing only 400 Vishnu forms. So that's how. And then Yogamaya made all these 400 Vishnu forms also disappear, and then Krishna was standing with his curd rice in his hand, eating and looking around, kahan gaye mere bachde, or where are my cowherd friends? So that's how Brahmaji was bewildered by this Yogamaya, not by Mahamaya. Udhar Mahamaya nahi tha. Mahamaya was not working. It was Yogamaya working. So Yogamaya covered the real cows and the cowherd boys invisible, and then showed the cows and the calves who were Krishna himself, and then made them invisible also. Then 400 Vishnu form appeared, फिर वो भी चले गए, वो भी disappear हो गया, and then Krishna is there. It is all working of Yogamaya. That's how Brahmaji got bewildered by all these acts. Another example he gives of Damodar Leela. सब ये योगमाया का ही पोटेंसी चल रहा है. So for every pastime there is a purpose. Brahma Vimohan Leela में purpose क्या है? To destroy the pride of Brahmaji. Damodar Leela में क्या purpose है? to show the inconceivable nature of his form. Although both limited hai, but unlimited hai. वो बंद ही नहीं रहे हैं. And to show how he comes under the control of his pure devotees. So Yogamaya, she acts only for this purpose, to increase the love of devotees, to facilitate the pastimes of devotees. So that's how Yogamaya is working. So Yogamaya didn't allow Yashoda Mai to bind. Krishna has many potencies. So one of the potencies of Krishna, she is not allowing Krishna to be bound up. And when Yashoda Mai is working very hard, then another potency comes up. That is the queen of all potencies. That is Kripa Shakti. And then Krishna agreed to be bound. So that's how, this is all Yogamaya working. First of all, she didn't allow Krishna to be bound. And that's how the rope was always falling 2 fingers short. Then Yashoda was bewildered. And then everybody was happy and bringing ropes and joining ropes after ropes. And then ultimately seeing the desire of Yashoda Mai. Somatu svinnagatraya visrishta kavarasraja drishtva parishramam krishnam kripayasit swabandhane. So just to show mercy to Yashoda Mai, Krishna got bound. So this is how Yogamaya is working. Another place, Yogamaya is also working. So Krishna, when appears in simultaneously 2 places. तो ऐसा 2 बार कृष्ण लीला में हुआ है. So when Krishna had to go to meet Shrutadev and Bahulashva, दोनों के पास जाना है, तो अभी कैसे जाएंगे दोनों के पास? So Krishna is going with all the sages also. उसमें शुकदेव गोस्वामी का भी नाम आता है. अभी दोनों के साथ दोनों के घर जाना है, तो क्या हो गया? Krishna can expand, but how all these sages expanded? So that's the power of Krishna. All the sages, उनका भी एक कॉपी बन गया. So one set went to Shrutadev, other set went to Bahulashva. ये सब योगमाया के अंडर हो रहा है. And then every day when Krishna returns from Sudharma Assembly Palace, he divides into 16,108 forms. And he goes to palace of each and every queens. So that is all happening under Yogamaya potency. So one queen, she is not able to see that Krishna is also going to other queens. सबको लगता है कि मेरे पास ही आए कृष्णा खाली. That's how Yogamaya अर्थम न प्रतीयेता, जो है उसको दिखाती नहीं है. That's how Yogamaya also acts in spiritual world. जो है उसको नहीं दिखाती है, जो नहीं है उसको, all to facilitate the pastimes. So that's how it is. So Damodar Leela में भी वैसा ही हो गया. अर्थम. So Krishna's power was not shown to Yashoda, and Krishna's mercy was shown to Yashoda. So that's how Krishna's Yogamaya potency is working. So Yogamaya facilitates the service of the pure devotees, and Mahamaya facilitates the inclinations of the conditioned souls. That's it. So in short, these are the functions of Yogamaya and Mahamaya. शुद्ध भक्त जो हैं उनको सेवा कैसे करने में मदद हो, that is the function of Yogamaya. And Mahamaya facilitates the inclinations of conditioned soul. So that is how Yogamaya and Mahamaya are working. So this is what we discussed from a technical point of view. So Prabhupada, he takes the theme of this verse and he elaborates on that. So the Prabhupada, he is translating, O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Rite artham, without relationship with me, there is no value, na artham. So that is the theme which Prabhupada elaborates on in the entire purport. Tad vidyad atmano maya. If you see anything which is not in relation to me, that is maya. So Prabhupada is elaborating on this theme, that anything which is in relationship with Krishna, that is real. Anything which is not in relationship with Krishna, it is reflection. Abhas hai wo. This is reflection. So Prabhupada writes in the purport. So there are 3 stages of cosmic manifestation: appearance, sustenance, growth. So actually, there are 6 stages of manifestation: appearance, sustenance, growths, interaction with different energies, that means by production of byproducts, then deterioration and disappearance. ये 6 चीजें होती हैं. So whenever there is forgetfulness of the Supreme Lord, and whenever things are accepted as real without being related to the Lord, that conception is called a product of the illusory energy. That is called as Mahamaya. So that is simple terms, Mahamaya. Maya means when we accept things not in relationship with Krishna. Anasaktasya vishayan yatharham upayunjatah nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. So yukta vairagya means when we accept things in relationship with the Lord. And if we reject things which are not in relationship with the Lord, then that is called as which are in relationship with the Lord, that is called as falgu vairagya. क्या वो प्रापंचिकतया बुद्ध्या हरि संबंधी वस्तुना मुमुक्षुभि परित्यागो vairagyam falgu kathyate. So we have to understand that anything which has connection with the Lord should be used in the service of the Lord. That is actual knowledge. Otherwise, it is Maya. So Prabhupada writes, nothing can exist without the Lord. It should be shown that the illusory energy is also an energy of the Lord. The Lord is called as Yoga Maya, or energy with the union, energy of union. And the wrong conception of detaching a thing from its relationship with the Lord is called as Daivi Maya or Mahamaya. Both the Mayas also have connection with the Lord, because nothing can exist without being related to the Lord. Everything is ultimately coming from Lord only. So if people, they think something which they take something which and think that this is not related to the Lord. Ye mera hai. The people say I have renounced the world. What is there to renounce? आपका है क्या renounce करने के लिए? We have, only thing we have is our free will. हमारी स्वतंत्र इच्छा शक्ति, that is the only thing which we have. And that is the only thing which we have to renounce and give to Krishna. Apart from this, nothing belongs to us. So Prabhupada writes, misconceiving one thing for another is called illusion. Just like if somebody identifies rope as a snake, वो illusion है. So similarly, if somebody accepts this material energy separately from the Lord, that is illusion. That is Maya. And then Prabhupada again describes about this Mayavad. Anything that appears as apparently not being produced out of my energy is called Maya. That's what the verse says. If somebody thinks that ye Bhagwan ki nahi, that is Maya. A person who is illusion, he thinks this is mine. This is not belonging to Krishna. ये भगवान की शक्ति नहीं, ये मेरी शक्ति. सब दुनिया भगवान की, लेकिन ये मेरा है. I offer everything to Krishna apart from this. That is Maya. And then Prabhupada writes in the purport about how he quotes this verse from Bhagavad Gita, Natvevaham Jatunasam Natvam Nemi Janadhipa. So all the kings, they were existing, they are existing, they will continue to exist. So therefore, individuality is always maintained. The individuality is never ever destroyed. In the material world, the light of the sun is also not independent, nor is that of the moon. The real source of light is the Brahma Jyoti, which diffuses light from the transcendental body of the Lord, and the same light is reflected in varieties of light. So the light of the Lord is coming and getting reflected in various luminaries. Light of the sun, the moon, fire, everything is coming from the Brahman. That's how he says, I am the Supreme.
Guruji, when Jivatma merges to the Brahman, that time his individuality is not lost. That means he is in an inactive mode.
Inactive मतलब inactive नहीं है.
That individuality also is not there because his individuality is there, but is not in functional mode. No?
But the main function of the living entity, that is service, is not there. He is just experiencing the bliss of the Brahman. उसको ब्रह्मानंद बोलते हैं because शांति है उधर. मतलब कोई डिस्टर्ब नहीं कर रहा है. So what they do in Brahman वो तो मालूम नहीं मेरे को. But वहाँ पे there is no reciprocation of the relationship. So you are just there experiencing the bliss. मतलब अभी इतनी गर्मी में एसी में आराम से बैठे हैं तो वो ब्रह्मानंद है. कुछ नहीं करना है, आराम से बैठे रहना है बस. लेकिन कब तक बैठे रहेंगे ऐसे? तो वो उसमें इसलिए वो आरोग्य कृच्छ्रेण परम पदम तथा पतंती है. इसलिए फिर बाद में बोलते हैं अरे कुछ तो करना चाहिए, उसी से जाके मिलते हैं, किसी से बात करते हैं. सो दैट इज द सिचुएशन ऑफ अ लिबरेटेड मुक्त जीव का वो रहता है जो ब्रह्मन में लीन होते हैं. दैट्स व्हाई दे कांट स्टे.
So, Prabhuji, the Yogamaya, Mahamaya, both are exist in the spiritual world also, material world, both, na? Because when Brahma, when Vyasdev,
Spiritual world, Mahamaya is not there in the spiritual world.
so Prabhuji, when Brahma, Vyasdev was doing meditation, he could saw all the energies of the Lord, the Jiva, the plenary expansions. So if there is a, so that means definitely there is a Mahamaya who is there in the part. That's how he could see that.
Mahamaya is not acting in the spiritual world. The energies of the Lord are there, just like Prime Minister has many energies. Like police department also, military department also, and there is a home minister also, and उसका Prime Minister की wife भी होगी, उसका बच्चा होगा, उसके घर परिवार वाले होंगे. So all these are the energies of Prime Minister. But जो पुलिस है, पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट वो उनके घर में एक्टिंग नहीं कर रहा है ना. Police department is working outside his home. So the jurisdiction of the police is not the home of Prime Minister. The other living entities, other citizens. Similarly, the Mahamaya, she is energy of the Lord only. But she is not acting in the spiritual world क्योंकि वहां पे जरूरत ही नहीं है. महामाया इस पे काम करती है. कृष्ण बहिर्मुख भैया जी वो भगवांचा करे निकटस्थ माया तारे झापट है. तो उस पे ही काम करती है.
But at the same time, Prabhuji, Yogamaya exists in the material world also because those are liberated pure devotees of the Lord. So she is acting on that pure devotees, na?
So Yogamaya is acting in the material world because it is needed to, do all the propaganda. So because pure devotees, wherever pure devotees are there, they are Yogamaya, they are carrying Yogamaya in their heart. That is the energy of the Lord. So that is how, pure devotees, they are always under the Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Daivim Prakriti Ashrita. So they are always under the shelter of Yogamaya. So they never come under the control of Mahamaya. So wherever they come, Yogamaya comes with them to give them shelter, to help them, support them. So that's how, we know the story of Raghunath Das Goswami as he was doing tapasya. ध्यान में है, and in the midday sun, Radharani comes and she is putting her sari just to give him shade. And Krishna is standing personally because two lions are coming and drinking water nearby on the kund. So whenever pure devotees are there, Krishna comes and Yogamaya comes and Radharani comes just to facilitate the activities of pure devotee.
Okay, thank you.
So Prabhupada writes in the purport, he continues that Vedanta Sutra in the very beginning affirms that everything is born from the Supreme. Brahma himself was born from the Supreme. The independence of the individual living entity is not real independence, but is just the reflection of the real independence. So we are not independent. Nobody can say, criminal में से मेरा इंडिपेंडेंस कितना मालूम है, ये जेल में कहीं पे भी घूम सकता हूँ. हाँ, मेरा सेल है, उसमें 10 by 10 के एरिया में कितना भी घूम सकता हूँ. What is that independence? इतना सा independence. Or a person who is the chief of all the other criminals, उसको लीडर बना दिया है, तू तेरे को देखना है बाकी सब क्रिमिनल का. So he can move around in the entire jail. So इनमें से देखो मेरे को कितना freedom मिला है. But what is that freedom? तो छोटा सा freedom है ना. So that is not real freedom. That is not real independence. Persons with a poor fund of knowledge become illusioned, and therefore the so-called scientists, physiologists, philosophers, etc. become dazzled by the glaring reflection of the sun, moon, electricity, and deny the existence of the Lord. Putting forward the theories and different speculations about the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of everything material. That is how philosophers, bogus gurus are. That is how, the world is full of all these bogus gurus and people who are expert in word jugglery. इधर का उधर बात करने में expert हैं, which has no meaning. One of the very famous gurus in India, he is very expert, very famous in word jugglery. मतलब, he doesn't believe in God. भगवान को मानते नहीं है. But still, he is very expert and speaks very eloquently, एकदम powerful orator है. People are attracted. So that's how people are judged. Prabhupada writes in the 12th canto में, Shukdev Goswami says, Kaliyuga means those who are expert in word jugglery. उनका ही बोलबाला है. So those who are expert in word jugglery, they are very, very famous. There is one, वो दिल्ली वाले जो हैं, बोलते हैं, आप समोसे में लाल चटनी डाल के खाते हैं. ओ, वही प्रॉब्लम है. आप समोसे में हरी चटनी डाल के खाएंगे ना, सब प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगा. ले. तो ये सब है. और फिर एक बार साउथ के हैं, उसने तो पूरा अपना आइलैंड ही खरीद लिया है, नित्यानंद बाबा. ऐसा कुछ भी बोलते हैं. आई कैन शो अ वीडियो एट द एंड. सच, मतलब the world is full of cheaters and cheated. The word jugglery करने में कुछ भी बोल रहे हो. People are attracted by that. The medical practitioner may deny the existence of the soul in the physiological bodily construction, but he cannot give life to the dead body. So Prabhupada is telling that people are speaking so many things, but they are all speaking nonsense. They are all under the control of प्रक्षेपात्मिका शक्ति. वो क्यों बता रहे हैं ये सब? वो योग महामाया के अंदर है वो. तो प्रभुपाद वो एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं. रीते अर्थम न प्रतीयता. तो योग माया महामाया के अंदर क्या है? पहले तो योग माया का बताए हैं, फिर महामाया का बता रहे हैं. ये सब जो भी लोग हैं ना, फिजियोलॉजिस्ट, फिलोसोफर, साइंटिस्ट, ये सब महामाया के अंदर है, भ्रमित है. They are acting under avidya potency. Prabhupada writes that illusory energy has two phases: the covering influence and the throwing influence. Covering influence मतलब कौन सा शक्ति हो गया?
आवरण
महामाया का कवरिंग मतलब आवरण, और throwing मतलब प्रक्षेपात्मक और विक्षेपात्मक. So that's how Prabhupada is making some English terminologies here. So फिर वही प्रभुपाद बताते हैं, the identity of Brahma with the Supreme Lord is never claimed herein. Therefore, such a foolish claim by man with a poor fund of knowledge is another display of illusory energy. ये सब महामाया से भ्रमित जीव हैं. That's why they are speaking like all this. So that's how Prabhupada describes in detail about this Mahamaya potency, Para Prakriti, Apara Prakriti. Prabhupada writes about all that. And then he quotes from Bhagavatam and he tells the example of how avidya potency का example देते हैं. Darkness में क्या है? Snakes. Ropes appear to be snake. Artham na pratiyeta, na artham pratiyeta. Na artham pratiyeta means न अर्थ, वहां पे सांप नहीं है लेकिन लग रहा है सांप. और अर्थम न प्रतीयते, इफ देयर इज अ डिच, वो नहीं दिख रहा है. सो प्रभुपाद राइट्स ऑल दैट एंड प्रभुपाद सेज देयरफॉर वन हैज टू टेक शेल्टर ऑफ द लाइट ऑफ द लॉर्ड एज इन द भागवतम. कृष्णे सुधामोपगते धर्म ज्ञानादिभिः सह कलौ नष्ट दृशामेश पुराण अर्क. भागवतम इज कंपेयर्ड विद 4 थिंग्स. फर्स्ट कैंटो में पढ़ा था हमने, first canto के first chapter में. Anyone remembers? Bhagavatam is compared with 4 things.
Yeah. The sun.
Then
this lamp.
Mohini Murti.
Yeah. Fourth one is
Nigam Kalptaro.
Fruit.
So it is compared with that. So Bhagavatam is like that torch. Bhagavatam is the sun which can dispel the darkness of ignorance in the hearts of living entity. Okay, so after answering this, so first question was please tell me about the spiritual and material form. Second, how the Yogamaya and Mahamaya is working. Third question, how the Lord interacts with them. So that is the third question. So the third question is answered in the 35th verse. Yatha mahanti bhutani.
Yatha mahanti
bhutani.
Bhuteshu chavacheshvanu. Pravishtanya pravishtani.
Pravishtanya pravishtani.
तथा तेषु न
teshvaham. O Brahma, please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created and at the same time I am outside of everything.
ये उसका आंसर कैसे हुआ? How the Lord interacts with energies. So that's how, when great souls speak, they don't speak direct words. They like to speak in, some cryptic words. जैसे वो नारद मुनि प्रचेतस को जाके क्या सुनाते हैं? डायरेक्टली नहीं बोलते हैं, वो एक स्टोरी सुनाते हैं, एलागोरिकल स्टोरी, और प्रचेता सब समझ जाते हैं. नहीं, प्रचेता सॉरी, वो हरियश्वस को. हाँ,
हरेश्वस और शिवलास दोनों को.
सो फर्स्ट हरेश्वस को 10,000 हरेश्वस है ना पहले वाले. सो ही स्पीक्स अ स्टोरी, एलेगोरिकल स्टोरी, और ये लोग सब समझदार लोग सब समझ जाते हैं. दैट्स हाउ द इंटेलिजेंट पीपल, उनको डायरेक्ट बोलने में मजा नहीं आता. तो जो दो इंटेलिजेंट लोग बात करते हैं तो इनडायरेक्टली बोलते हैं तो दोनों को मजा आता है. हाँ, थोड़ा अभी इंटेलेक्चुअल किक मिल रहा है. तो अभी कृष्णा ब्रह्मा जी को ऐसा ऐसा बोल रहे हैं, हमको लगा अरे किधर है आंसर उसमें. how Lord interacts with material and spiritual energy, तो उसमें है आंसर. Okay, so we'll see that. यथा महांति भूतानि, just as भूतानि मतलब the elements, material elements, enter अनुप्रविष्टानि, जिस प्रकार जो सब एलिमेंट्स हैं वो प्रवेश करते हैं भूतेषु उच्च अवचेषु. उच्च एंड अवचेषु. उच्च मीन्स हायर लिविंग बींग्स Avacheshu means lower living beings. Just like all the elements enter into the bodies of all the living beings. So all the living beings' bodies are made up of elements. वो इसका मतलब है. Similarly, tatha aham. Similar, I enter into all beings and nateshu, and I remain separate also. I am staying in everyone's heart as Paramatma, and I am staying separately also in spiritual world, performing my pastimes. So, how does the Lord interact with these two types of energies? First, when the Lord is relating to material world, he is detached. Tatha teshu na teshuam. The word says, they enter but do not enter. The Lord says, I am entering into this material world. Not entering. I am detached. But in the spiritual world, I am completely attached. वहां पे मैं सब कुछ खुद देखता हूं मैं. So that's how the Lord is conscious of this material world, but he is not attached to it. He is not so much, actively involved. वो दे देते हैं material world, माया देवी आप देख लो भाई. Spiritual world में वो खुद ही देखते हैं सब कुछ. That's how Lord deals with the material and spiritual energies. That's how it is. So Chakravarti Thakur writes, I desire to show myself to my obedient devotees who have entered my heart, who have perfected themselves, and they bow down to me. So those who are my devotees, I am attached to them. Those who are not my devotees, I am not attached to them. So that's how the Lord tells, I am conquered by the love of the devotees. And Prabhupada takes this theme and he emphasizes on that theme. And he quotes that Lord is conquered by the love. He quotes this verse, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. And then यहाँ पे आता है Samhita is quoting. And then Prabhupada writes that all these things can be seen by a person who has received the mercy of the Lord. अथापि ते देव पदाम्बुजद्वया प्रसादलेशानुगृहीत एव हि जानाति तत्त्वं भगवन्महिम्नो न चान्येकोऽपि चिरं विचिन्वन्. So Prabhupada writes that therefore, although he is present in every atom, he is not visible by dry speculators, visible to the dry speculators. Those who are not devotees, they can never see the Lord. So only a devotee can see the Lord. Prabhupada writes. Still, the mystery is unfolded before the eyes of pure devotees. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. उसके बाद वाले पैराग्राफ में Prabhupada is writing all that. And this love of God can be attained only by the practice of transcendental loving service of the Lord and nothing else. The vision of the pure devotees is not ordinary. It is purified by the process of devotional service. In other words, as the universal elements are both within and without, similarly, the Lord's name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage, as they are described in the revealed scriptures, or as performed in the Vaikuntha Loka, far, far beyond the material cosmic manifestation, are factually being televised in the heart of the devotee. So therefore only devotees can see the form of the Lord. So Lord reveals himself only to the devotees. Only by the practice of bhakti one can see the Lord. Rajan patir guru ralam bhavatam yadunam daivam priya kulpati kvata kinkaro va astu evam anga bhagavan bhajatam kundo. Muktim dadati karichit smana bhakti yogam. Prabhupada is quoting that verse here in the next paragraph. Muktim dadati karichit smana bhakti yogam. So this is Narad Muni speaking to Yudhishthir Maharaj. So he says, O Rajan, the Supreme Lord has become your friend, your guru, your servant, your teacher, everything, because you are his devotee. So Lord gives everything. Lord gives mukti also, but he doesn't give bhakti so easily. Because Lord gets bound by the devotee's love. Therefore, only a devotee can know Krishna. That's how Lord deals with the devotees. योग माया के अंदर जो भी है उनके साथ कैसे डील करते हैं कंट्रोल में महामाया के अंदर जो भी है he does not care. He doesn't care about them. He puts them under the material energy. That's how it is. And then Prabhupada writes that Brahmaji previously told Narad that desires of Brahma are never unfulfilled because he is always absorbed in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. न भारती में अंग मृषोपलक्षते न वै क्वचिन में मनसो मृषागति आगे न में ऋषिकाणी असत्पथे यन्मय हृदोत्कंठ त्यक्तागतो. So that's what Prabhupada is writing here. That is the beauty and the mystery of the process of Bhakti Yoga. So that's how Lord deals with his devotees. ये सब Prabhupada क्यों लिख रहे हैं? योग माया के साथ कैसे भगवान डीलिंग करते हैं? योग माया के साथ डीलिंग मतलब डिवोटीज के साथ डीलिंग. So that's what Prabhupada is writing here. Prabhupada is emphasizing how Lord deals with his pure devotees. And then he is quoting a verse from Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Guhyatamam Guhya Shrunume Param Vacha. So this is the most confidential knowledge. Idam Bhagvatam Nama Yanme Bhagavadotitam Sangrahoyam Vibhutinam Tvametad Vipuli Kuru. That's what Brahmaji told to Narada. I have spoken about Bhagavatam. Now you preach. So that's how this knowledge is coming. Okay, so this is the answer to the third question. Now, the last question was how I won't be entangled with passion and pride. So, in response to this question, now Lord is speaking this fourth Chatushloki Bhagavatam verse. Etavadev jigyasyam
एतादेव जिज्ञासु
तत्त्वजिज्ञासुन आत्मनः
जिज्ञास्वमनः
विवेकाभ्याम् यस्यात् सर्वत्र सर्वदा
A person who is searching after the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, most certainly search for it up to this, in all circumstances, in all space and time, and both directly and indirectly.
How is this? To that question, my answer कैसे आ गई? This is also a very interesting verse where Krishna is answering that question. So how one will be free from pride and ignorance, passion and ignorance? By practice of bhakti. So in this, Krishna is telling, search and practice bhakti yoga. So he says, tattva jigyasuna atmanaha. So person who is desiring jigyasuna means one who wants to know. Tattva jigyasa, he wants to know the best knowledge. Atmanaha. So what he should do? The person desiring to know the best sadhana and the goal of that sadhana. What he should do? Jigyasyam. Jigyasya means he should surrender to Guru. Jigyasyam, जिसके पास जिज्ञासा करनी चाहिए. Jigyasyam. So he should inquire about that. And one should understand the result in two ways, अन्वय and व्यतिरेकाभ्याम. ये बहुत important है. Entire discussion will go on only these two words, अन्वय and व्यतिरेकाभ्याम. So this is very, very important to understand. What is this अन्वय and what is this व्यतिरेक? So अन्वय means if this work is done, you will get the result. अन्वय. The one gets positive result through performance, as you can see in the slide. Slide में पूरा वो Chakravarti Thakur का translation है. So that will be easy to understand. Anvay means the positive results through performance, and Vyatirek means the lack of results through non-performance. That means simple word में अगर just you should know about that goal, that साधन, ऐसे वस्तु के बारे में जिज्ञासा करिए. If you do that, you will get the result. And if you don't do that, you will not get the result. बाकी कुछ भी कर लो, ये नहीं किया ना, you will not get the result. So you should know about that goal. And yat syat sarvatra sarvada. This is another thing which we will be focusing on. That is, this verse glorifies the supremacy of bhakti yoga over ज्ञान, कर्म, योगा, बाकी जो भी है उससे भक्ति कैसे बढ़ के है. So इस एक श्लोक में Lord is establishing by these three words, अन्वय, व्यतिरेक and सर्वत्र सर्वदा. तो कभी भी कर सकते हैं, कहीं पे भी कर सकते हैं, हर एक सिचुएशन में कर सकते हैं, और भक्ति करेंगे तो 100% रिजल्ट मिलेगा ही. अन्वय. व्यतिरेक मतलब भक्ति नहीं किया ना, बाकी कुछ भी कर लो रिजल्ट नहीं मिलेगा. व्यतिरेक. So that's how it is. And there is another meaning of this verse also about prema. Sadhana bhakti and prem bhakti दोनों बोले ना. सा रहस्यम तदंगम च. So तदंगम is bhakti, साधन भक्ति. तो साधन भक्ति का ये फर्स्ट अभी जो हमने डेफिनेशन देखा, इट इज अन्वय व्यतिरेक. इसको साधन भक्ति करेंगे तो 100% रिजल्ट मिलेगा, और इसको नहीं किया तो बाकी कुछ भी करोगे तो नहीं मिलेगा. एंड सर्वत्र सर्वदा, सब जगह कर सकते हैं, कोई भी कर सकता है, हर एक सिचुएशन में कर सकते हैं. एंड प्रेम भक्ति क्या है, उसका भी एक सेकंड डेफिनेशन है, सेकंड मीनिंग. तत्व जिज्ञासुना आत्मनः, पर्सन डिजायरिंग द हाईएस्ट ट्रुथ must experience the rasa, jigyasyam. That rasa, that prem bhakti ka ras produces bliss. Only etavad ev. Prem bhakti jo karega, that person will experience highest bliss in all situations. Anvay, Vyatirek. Anvay means meeting. Vyatirek means separation. तो ये प्रेम भक्ति का डेफिनेशन यहाँ पे है. यस्यात् सर्वत्र सर्वदा, and continues in all places eternally. So that's how, Lord is establishing the supremacy of bhakti yoga, sadhana bhakti and prem bhakti. So prem bhakti produces bliss in all situations. Either you are with Lord or you are separated from the Lord. Wherever you are, if you have prem bhakti, you will always be happy. So that's how. So now we'll discuss this. So Lord is saying jigyasyam. Jigyasyam means please surrender to Guru and learn from him. Jigyasyam. Jigyasyam means किसके पास जाके जिज्ञासा करना है. So is it okay? हम समझ रहे हैं सबको, थोड़ा कुछ तो समझ रहा है तो आगे चलेंगे, नहीं तो फिर बस ये भी थोड़ा टेक्निकल है. Okay. So now, so what is the meaning of अन्वय व्यतिरेक? So example, अगर किसी को जानना है कि स्वीट राइस में स्वीटनेस कहाँ से आता है, which ingredient of the sweet rice gives sweetness, तो कैसे कर सकते हैं उसको पता? किसी को मालूम ही नहीं है कि स्वीट राइस में 3 चीजें पड़ती हैं, राइस, मिल्क एंड शुगर. तो which of these ingredients gives sweetness? शुगर. नहीं, वो तो हमको मालूम है, लेकिन अगर किसी को मालूम नहीं है कि ये शुगर से मिलता है तो क्या क्या कर सकता है वो? व्हाट इज द प्रोसेस टू आइडेंटिफाई कि भाई ये स्वीट राइस बनाने के बाद स्वीटनेस किस में से आती है? क्या क्या प्रोसेस है? एक तो है क्या है, पहला मतलब क्या करेंगे,
इंग्रेडिएंट को एक एक इंग्रेडिएंट को टेस्ट
कर लो. दैट इज द डायरेक्ट वे. डायरेक्ट मतलब राइस को टेस्ट करो, नहीं स्वीट नहीं, मिल्क वो भी ज्यादा स्वीट नहीं, शुगर स्वीट है. तो वो है अन्वय, डायरेक्ट. एंड व्यतिरेक मीन्स, अच्छा इनडायरेक्टली हमको पता करना है, ठीक है हम स्वीट राइस बनाएंगे, उसमें राइस डालेंगे और मिल्क डालेंगे. सबसे पहले राइस और शुगर, अरे स्वीट है, तो राइस और मिल्क स्वीट नहीं है. और फिर तीसरा क्या कॉम्बिनेशन हो सकता है? मिल्क और शुगर. तो कौन से कॉम्बिनेशन में स्वीटनेस नहीं आया? राइस और मिल्क डाला कॉम्बिनेशन में स्वीट नहीं आया. दैट मीन्स स्वीटनेस इज देयर. नो, दैट इज आवर डिफरेंट वे टू अंडरस्टैंड कि शुगर में स्वीटनेस में स्वीटनेस कहाँ से आता है. सिमिलरली टू अंडरस्टैंड द पावर ऑफ भक्ति, कि भाई भक्ति इज द स्वीट एलिमेंट, तो कैसे पता चलेगा? कर्म कांड में, कर्म में, योग में और ज्ञान में इसमें एक्टिव इंग्रेडिएंट क्या है वो पता करना है. तो 2 प्रकार है, या तो अलग अलग भक्ति करो, ज्ञान करो, योग करो, तो तीनों अलग अलग करोगे तो अच्छा इसमें रिजल्ट आया, इसमें नहीं आया, इसमें नहीं आया, सब एक्टिव इंग्रेडिएंट ये है. या फिर योग करो और उसमें भक्ति मत ऐड करो, तो फिर पता चला अच्छा यार योग किया लेकिन उसमें भक्ति नहीं की, तो मतलब रिजल्ट नहीं है, इनडायरेक्ट वे. So that is called as Anvay and Vyatirek. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Srila Prabhupada, they both give so many proofs to show that bhakti is the perfect and the best path. नहीं अतो अन्य शिव पंथा विशत संस्कृता विहा वासुदेवे भगवती भक्ति योगो यतो भक्ति. There is no better auspicious path than भक्ति योगा. तो उसके लिए सबसे पहला श्लोक ये कोट करते हैं फ्रॉम फर्स्ट कैंटो भागवतम. त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं चरणाम्बुजं हरेर् भजन् अपक्वो असपते ततो यदि यत्र क्व वा भद्रमभूतमुच्य किं को वार्थ आप्तो भजतां स्वधर्मतः. सो ही एस्टैब्लिशिंग नाउ अन्वय और व्यतिरेक पे काम हो रहा है इसमें. तो अभी आप लोग को बताना है इसमें से अन्वय और व्यतिरेक क्या है. So this verse says, if somebody is performing his occupational duty, उसके पहले सबसे पहले इस लाइन में क्या बोला? त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्म. स्वधर्म मतलब अपना ऑक्यूपेशन ड्यूटी छोड़ के चरणाम भुजम हरे, भगवान का भजन कर रहा है. बट भजन अपक्वो, इज नॉट परफेक्ट, मैच्योर नहीं है. अथ पतेत, ही फॉल्स डाउन. यत्र क्व वा भद्रम, व्हाट इज द लॉस? लेकिन यदि कोई अपना धर्म अच्छे से कर रहा है और भक्ति नहीं कर रहा है, व्हाट इज द गेन? वो कुछ भी नहीं मिलेगा. तो इसमें क्या है? व्हाट इज अन्वय एंड व्हाट इज व्यतिरेक? सो वर्णाश्रम फेल्स व्यतिरेक. व्यतिरेक मतलब क्या है? सबसे पहले हमने डिस्कस किया. व्यतिरेक मतलब क्या होता है? अगर वो नहीं है तो रिजल्ट नहीं मिलेगा. सो वर्णाश्रम व्यतिरेक क्राइटेरिया में फेल हो जाता है, क्योंकि वर्णाश्रम नहीं है फिर भी रिजल्ट मिल रहा है यदि भक्ति किया तो, है ना. ये श्लोक में वही बोल रहे हैं ना, कोवात आप तो भजताम सुधर्मतः. अरे वर्णाश्रम नहीं भी पालन किया, भक्ति किया, त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मम, अपना धर्म को त्याग कर भक्ति कर रहे हैं ना, व्हाट इज द लॉस? कोई लॉस नहीं है. सो वर्णाश्रम फेल्स व्यतिरेक, और भक्ति फुलफिल्स अन्वय एंड व्यतिरेक. मतलब भक्ति है तो रिजल्ट मिलेगा, और भक्ति नहीं है तो रिजल्ट नहीं मिलेगा. कुछ भी कर लो आप, कितना भी यज्ञ कर लो, दान कर लो, तप कर लो, इफ यू आर नॉट एडिंग भक्ति यू विल नॉट गेट द रिजल्ट. समझ गए ना? थोड़ा कुछ समझ रहे हैं? पता नहीं ऑनलाइन वालों को समझ रहा है कि नहीं समझ रहा है.
Also, Prabhuji, in all the yogas, like whichever yoga you take, without the bhakti element in that yoga, there is no result comes in any yoga.
वही
The
इसमें
bhakti element is it.
वही establish कर रहे हैं वो. He is quoting one after another all these shlokas which establish. ये जो श्लोक है, श्रेय श्रुतिम भक्ति मुदस्यते विभो क्लिश्यन्ति ये केवल बोध लब्धये तेषाम असौ क्लेशल एव शिष्यते नान्यद यथा स्थूल उपशावघातिनम. दिस इज फॉर ज्ञानी. वो नेक्टर ऑफ डिवोशन, देयर इज अ होल चैप्टर ना.
Correct.
Devotion service is independent. So if bhakti is not there, ये तो मतलब बहुत बार हम बोल चुके हैं, सुन चुके हैं. भक्ति इज एक्टिव कैटलिस्ट. भक्ति नहीं होगा तो ज्ञान, योगा, कर्म, कुछ उसका फल मिलेगा ही नहीं. So this one verse, अन्वय and व्यतिरेक, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट वर्ड. अन्वय मतलब if it is there you will get the result. व्यतिरेक मतलब ये नहीं है तो कुछ भी कर लो आपको रिजल्ट मिलेगा ही नहीं. So in this verse talks about jnanis. So it is, if somebody is practicing jnana and he is not practicing bhakti, bhakti mudasyate vibho, if somebody is not practicing bhakti, only gain he has is the trouble. जो दुख मिलता है ना वही उसका गेन है, और कुछ नहीं मिलता है उसको. It is like beating a empty husk of rice. स्थूल तुषावघातिना, that is his gain is only the trouble. उससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं मिलता है उसको. ज्ञानी यदि भक्ति नहीं ऐड करेगा ना, कुछ नहीं मिलेगा उसको. So that is how it is. So this verse again explains that jnana fails अन्वय criteria. तो ज्ञान कर रहे हैं फिर भी रिजल्ट नहीं मिल रहा है. एंड भक्ति फुलफिल्स अन्वय एंड व्यतिरेक क्राइटेरिया. ज्ञान कर रहे हैं तो भक्ति, उसका भक्ति कर रहे हैं तो यू आर गेटिंग द रिजल्ट. एंड इफ यू आर नॉट एडिंग भक्ति यू विल नॉट गेट द रिजल्ट ऑफ ज्ञान आल्सो. सो हर एक श्लोक में यही एस्टैब्लिश किया जा रहा है यहाँ पे. सो दिस श्रेयस्तिम वर्स वाज फॉर ज्ञानीज. अभी एक दूसरा वर्स बोल रहे हैं वो योगियों के बारे में. Same verse. We'll not go into the detail of this verse. So in this same verse, again the same thing is said. पुरेह भूमन बहवोप्योगिनः स्तुदर्पितेहानि विकर्म लब्धया विबुद्ध्य भक्तैव कथोपनीतया प्रपेदीर्यद्यो अच्युतते गतिं पराम्. O Lord, in the past, many yogis in this world achieved the platform of devotional service by offering all their endeavors unto you and faithfully carrying out their prescribed duties. Through such devotional service, perfected by the process of hearing and chanting about you, they came to understand you and surrendered unto you. So, जितने भी योगी हैं ना past में, because they rendered bhakti, that's why they got the result. So bhakti is the only active ingredient. Bhakti है तो रिजल्ट मिलेगा. अन्वय, अन्वय मीन्स व्हाट? है तो रिजल्ट मिलेगा. व्यतिरेक मतलब ये नहीं है तो कुछ भी कर लो रिजल्ट नहीं मिलने वाला है. एंड देन दिस अनदर फेमस वर्स, यत् कर्मभिर यत् तपसा ज्ञान वैराग्यश्चयत् योगेन दान धर्मेण श्रेयोभिरितरैरपि सर्वं मद्भक्ति योगेन मद्भक्तो लभते यथा स्वर्गोपवर्गमद्धाम कथंचित् यदि वाञ्छति. So in this verse, it is said that whatever result you get by karma, yat tapasa, ज्ञान, वैराग्य, योग, दान, धर्म और बाकी जो भी बच गया है, इतराई रखी, इन सब का रिजल्ट आपको किससे मिल जाता है? मद भक्ति योगे ना मद भक्तो लभते अन्यथा। बताइए, मतलब all these other things, कर्म, ज्ञान, वैराग्य, योग, दान, धर्म, they fail व्यतिरेक क्राइटेरिया। व्यतिरेक मतलब इनडायरेक्टली वो अपनी को जब तक ये भक्ति ये सब
व्यतिरेक इज नॉट देयर, नथिंग कैन हैपन।
व्यतिरेक मतलब ये नहीं भी है फिर भी रिजल्ट आ रहा है, तो ये लोग सब व्यतिरेक में फेल हो जाते हैं। लेकिन भक्ति नहीं होगा तो कुछ नहीं मिलेगा। That's how, bhakti is such a wonderful, powerful process. So that's how, Chakravarti Thakur is quoting so many verses to prove the supremacy of Bhakti Yoga. And then there is another verse, Akama Sarva Kamo Va Mokshakam Udarani Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajit Purusham Param. So, कुछ भी बाकी कर लो उससे नहीं मिलेगा लाभ अगर भक्ति नहीं कर रहे हो तो। यजेत पुरुषम परम, you worship Krishna, then only you will get the result of everything. So there are so many other verses, and then this is another important verse. Tapasvino dana parayashasvino manasvino mantravido sumangala क्षेमं न विन्दन्ति विनाय दर्पणं तस्मै सुभद्रा श्रवसे नमो नमः. So in that it is said that this verse is invocation. ना Shukdev Goswami is doing pranam, मंगलाचरण बोल रहे हैं ना 4th chapter में, उसमें एक श्लोक आता है. In that he is saying तपस्विनो दानपरा यशस्वी मंत्री मंत्रविदो, ये जो भी है ना, if they are not worshipping the Lord by their activities, कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला. So all these things they fail व्यतिरेक. व्यतिरेक मतलब ये नहीं, ये करेंगे, भक्ति नहीं करेंगे तो फिर कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला. भक्ति करेंगे तो 100% मिलेगा, बाकी नहीं भी किया तो. आराधितो यदि हरि तपसा तथा किम नाराधितो हरि तपसा तथा किम. आप लोग भी और बहुत सारा श्लोक ढूंढ सकते हैं अन्वय व्यतिरेक अभियान के लिए. तो समझ गए आप लोग अभी अन्वय और व्यतिरेक का मतलब क्या है? समझ गए होंगे ना, आज तक इतना सब किया. अन्वय क्या है, व्यतिरेक क्या है? अन्वय मतलब ये है तो मिलेगा और नहीं है तो नहीं मिलेगा, कुछ भी कर लो आप. So after establishing this, he is focusing on this last two words, sarvatra sarvada. You cannot sit in the middle of the traffic and do yoga. नहीं कर सकते ना. You cannot sit anywhere and read all the scriptures. लेकिन भक्ति कहीं भी जब कर सकते हैं. Even Prahlad, he heard in the womb of his mother. Dhruva as a small child, he heard anywhere. अरे को मैं आपको 2 मिनट में कॉल करूं. So now he is establishing sarvatra sarvada kaise hai. So he is quoting many words. So one is na deshaniyamastatra na kala nirnayastatha na uchishtado nishedhosti Shri Harer namni lubdhake. In chanting the name of the Lord, न देश नियम कहीं पे भी कर सकते हैं, न काल नियम कभी भी कर सकते हैं. प्रसाद के मामले में भी ऐसा आता है ना, सुना है आपने? कौन से पास्टम में आता है? When Sapram Bhattacharya is transformed, he becomes a devotee. So one day Mahaprabhu in the morning he goes and takes Jagannath Mahaprasad in the morning. So Sapram Bhattacharya is just getting up from the bed and he hears a knock. So he opens the door, Mahaprabhu is standing with Mahaprasad. So without even washing the mouth, he eats it. और ब्राह्मण के लिए, वो भी ऐसे ब्राह्मण सार्वभौम जो head of all the Brahmanas, for that person to do this is a big thing. तो वो भी एक श्लोक बोलते हैं, न देश नियमस्तत्र न काल नियमस्तथा प्राप्ति मात्रेण भोक्तव्यम, प्राप्ति मात्रेण भोक्तव्यम। There is no rule and regulations in eating prasad. कभी भी खा सकते हैं, न देश नियमस्तत्र न काल नियमस्तथा. So that's how bhakti can be done any time. And then he is quoting another verse. तस्मात् सर्वात्मना राजन् हरि सर्वत्र सर्वदा श्रोतव्यः कीर्तितव्यश्च स्मर्तव्यो भगवानिनाम्. Exact word are सर्वत्र सर्वदा. You can do anytime. You can do anywhere. Shrotavya, Kirtitavya, and Smartavya Bhagwan. And anyone can do. What are the various shlokas? कोई भी कर सकता है. No restrictions. क्या वो अहेतु की अप्रतिहत. भक्ति is अप्रतिहता है. So there is one verse. किराट मनांद्र पुलिंद पुलगशा आवीर शुंभा यवना कथादय यन्ये च पापा यदपाश्रया श्रया शुद्धयन्ति तस्मै. और कौन सा श्लोक anybody is remembering? Anybody can chant. Anybody gets benefited. और कोई श्लोक का ट्रांसलेशन उसमें है. Even if a dog eater starts chanting, he gets purified. You know, apiche sudur ahopat shapacho ato galiyan. Then he is putting a verse from Narsimha Puran. Interesting. यथा यथा हरेर नाम कीर्तयन्ति च नारका तथा तथा हरो भक्ति उद्वहन्तो दिवम ययु. Even if somebody is in the hell, chants the name of the Lord, they develop bhakti and go to the spiritual. ये नरसिंह पुराण का श्लोक है. कहीं पे भी नरक में भी भगवान का नाम लिया तो वहां से भी चले जाएंगे. So that is how, you know, so many verses are quoted. That is, all these verses, they establish the supremacy of bhakti. Bhakti है तो रिजल्ट मिलेगा, नहीं है तो नहीं मिलेगा. कभी भी कर सकते हैं, कहीं पे भी कर सकते हैं, कोई भी कर सकता है. सर्वत्र सर्वदा. For all the other paths, purity is required. For bhakti, no purity is required prior. आपको यज्ञ करना है तो पहले शुद्ध होकर यज्ञ करना पड़ेगा. चैंटिंग कभी भी कर सकते हैं, कोई भी कर सकता है, कभी पे भी कर सकता है. All the other paths, one has to have faith. श्रद्धा से करेंगे तो उसका फल मिलेगा. अश्रद्धया हुतम दत्तम तपस्तप्तम कृतम चेत् असत्युच्यते पार्थ न च तत्प्रेत्य नोहि. श्रद्धा नहीं है तो रिजल्ट नहीं मिलेगा. लेकिन भक्ति ऐसा है, बिना श्रद्धा के भी यदि कोई नाम ले रहा है भगवान का, he also gets benefited. Anyone remember any श्लोक or any quotation? बिना श्रद्धा के भी, if somebody is chanting the name of the Lord, he gets benefited. यमराज बोल रहे हैं ना यमदूतों को, सांकेत्यम पारिहास्यम वा स्तोभम हेलनम एव वा वैकुंठ नाम ग्रहणम. If somebody is pointing at हरे कृष्णा वाले जा रहे हैं, वो हरे भगवान का नाम नहीं ले रहे, संकेत कर रहा है. पारिहास्यम, some people make fun. क्या तुम आज हरे कृष्णा बहुत चल रहा है तुम्हारा, क्या है मजाक, वो मजाक उड़ा रहा है. पारिहास्यम. स्तोभम, अरे कौन बिना थोड़ा अच्छा डांसिंग होता है, चलो यार डांसिंग करके, उसको भक्ति से कुछ लेना देना नहीं है. स्तोभम, म्यूजिकल एंटरटेनमेंट. हाँ, जानकारी का भी है. सांकेत्यम पारिहास्यम हेलनम. some people even criticize. हरे कृष्णा वाले कुछ काम के नहीं है, खाली ये लोग पैसा खर्चा करते हैं, विदेश में पैसा भेजते हैं. वैकुंठ नाम गृहणन, भगवान का नाम लिया ना, अशेष अघहरम विदु, अनलिमिटेड थिंग्स गेट डिस्ट्रॉयड. तो इसलिए सरस्वती ठाकुर को एक रिपोर्ट दिखाया न्यूज़पेपर में, प्रभुपाद यहाँ पे दिस आर्टिकल हैज क्रिटिसाइज्ड अस एंड दिस आर्टिकल हैज ग्लोरिफाइड अस. तो क्या बोले वो? What was the response of Saraswati Thakur? He said, okay, in both these articles count how many times the word Krishna has come. तो जो ऑफेंसिव वाला था उसमें ज्यादा बार कृष्ण का नाम है. So he said, this is better. because people will chant Krishna more. So even if somebody has no faith, still he does it. Even if somebody eats prasad without having faith, फिर भी वो शुद्ध हो जाता है. लेकिन ज्ञान, कर्म, अष्टांग में फेथ नहीं है ना, उसका रिजल्ट नहीं मिलेगा. भक्ति के लिए ट्रू नहीं है. अज्ञात सुकृति बोलते हैं, बिना श्रद्धा के भी किया तो भी उसको सुकृति मिलेगा. That's how it is. सर्वत्र सर्वदा, कभी भी कर सकते हैं, किसी भी सिचुएशन में कर सकते हैं. Who is the person who will not chant, who will not practice bhakti? That's why he's saying, Lord is telling, so this is the path by which you can be free of the pride and passion. So that is Chatushloki Bhagavatam. So then, how to understand the deep meaning of Chatushloki, how to practice, that he will say in the next verse, 37th verse. So we'll take this and then we'll take. Etanmatam samatishta paramena samadhina bhavan kalpa vikalpeshu na muhyanti karhiche. So he's saying, translation.
O Brahma, just follow this conclusion by fixed concentration of mind, and no pride will disturb you, neither in the partial nor in the final devastation.
Okay, so before that, ये प्रभुपाद का बहुत लंबा परपोट है 36 वर्ष पे, long, very very long परपोट. So Prabhupada is in ecstasy, glorifying the process of devotional service. तो 7-8 पेज लिखे हैं परपोट. इतना बड़ा परपोट अभी तक देखे नहीं होंगे. 7-8 भी नहीं, ज्यादा पेज है. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 पेज का परपोट लिखे हैं प्रभुपाद ने. That's how pure whenever he gets the chance to glorify bhakti, मतलब ये चलते जा रहे. So he establishes how bhakti is the supreme. So of course we have discussed almost everything. So he starts with etavad eva, this is the only path, and etavad eva jigyasam, one should inquire about this only, this is the real goal of life, and one should inquire about this from a bona fide spiritual master, just like Brahma is asking Krishna, one should ask bona fide spiritual master. And then he quotes that in Bhagavad Gita, same instructions are imparted in 4 verses. So जो ये 4 चतुश्लोकी है, same instruction is given in Bhagavad Gita also. Bhagavad Gita में 3 श्लोकी आता है, एक चतुश्लोकी भी आता है, एक 3 श्लोकी भी आता है. So that Prabhupada writes there, and then says that there are some people who never take to bhakti. इतना सब सुनने के बाद भी नमाम दुष्कृतिनो मूढ़ा प्रपद्यन्ते नराधमं. He quotes that verse. He says such faithless non-believers may be highly educated in the material sense, but they are the greatest fools of the world, because by the influence of external nature, all their so-called knowledge has become null and void. तो इतना सब सुन के भी कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला है, and they will be defeated in the ultimate end. The next verse Prabhupada is quoting. Srimad Bhagvatam therefore says again and again, without the attainment of bhakti, all activities are absolute failures. So Prabhupada is establishing in अन्वय व्यतिरेक. भक्ति नहीं करेगा ना तो कुछ भी कर रहे हो, it is all failures only. पराभवस्तावदबोध जातो यावन्न जिज्ञासत आत्मतत्त्वम् यावत् क्रियस्तावदिदं मनोमयि कर्मात्मकं येन शरीर बन्धः. Is quoting from the instructions of Rishabdev. Parabhava, unlimited lifetimes we are being defeated because na jigyasat atma tattvam, one does not know atma tattva. Atma tattva nahi janenge to kuch bhi kar lo, it is defeat only. And then he quotes another verse. Evam mana karma vasham prayunte avidyayatmanyupadhiyamane प्रीतिर्न यावन् मयि वासुदेवे न युज्यते येह योगेन तावत्. Again he is establishing the same fact. If the mind is not engaged in bhakti and he is engaged in karma vash में ही चल रहा है, in the modes of ignorance he is working, so he will not be delivered. Na muchyate dev yogen. Baki kuch bhi kar lijiye, if somebody is not practicing bhakti, he will not be delivered. And he keep on rotating in this cycle of birth and death. He quotes another verse from Jiva Goswami, Sarvatra Sarvada. So now, from this verse onwards, Prabhupada is elaborating only on this Sarvatra Sarvada. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada therefore comments on the words Sarvatra Sarvada. तो जो भी बाकी का परपोट है केवल सर्वत्र सर्वदा पे है. तो प्रभुपाद इज नॉट गोइंग टू द डिटेल ऑफ अन्वय व्यतिरेक, वो ज्यादा नहीं बोलते हैं, लेकिन सर्वत्र सर्वदा ही इज स्पेंडिंग राइटिंग अराउंड 10 पेजेस.
59 से लेके आगे
सब वही है, सर्वत्र सर्वदा भी. भक्ति कैन बी परफॉर्म इन ऑल सर्कमस्टेंसेस. He says it is recommended in all scriptures, it is performed by all authorities, it is important in all places, it is useful in all causes and effects. बस कुछ छोड़े नहीं इसमें, सब जगह बोला जा रहा है, सब लोग कर रहे हैं, सबसे बढ़िया है. And then he quotes the verse from Skand Puran, संसारे अस्मिन् महाघोरे जन्म मृत्यु समाकुले पूजनम वासुदेवस्य तारकम वा विद्वादिति स्मृतम्. So in this material world full of darkness and danger, only way to get free from the entanglement is transcendental devotional service to Vasudeva. Then another verse from Padma Puran, Ling Puran, Skanda Puran, Alodya Sharva Shastrani Vicharya cha punah punah idamekam sunishpannam dheyo narayana sada. By scrutinizingly reviewing all the scriptures, it is concluded that Narayana is supreme and he alone should be worshipped. Another verse from Bhagvatam, then this famous verse, Yasyasti Bhakti, Bhagavati Akinchana, then from 11th Canto, Sabshabda Brahmani Nishnato, Non-Nishnat, Pareyadi, Shramastya Shramapalo, Hi Adhirinum Yuvarakshata. So now he's saying, all the education is like a burden if you are not practicing bhakti. तो भक्ति नहीं कर रहे तो बाकी तो कुछ भी करके क्या फायदा है. Another verse is quoting that how bhakti purifies. Deva evidanti aditaranti cha deva mayam sri shudra purna shabara vipapa jiva yadyadbhut krama parayana shila siksha tirya jana apikumo shuddha dharana ye. Tirya, only animal will not practice bhakti. Look, इसी जो भी मनुष्य है वो करेगा ही 100%, because anybody can get delivered. So that is how bhakti is for everyone. Keet, pakshi, mriganam cha, harau sanyast chetasam, urdhvam eva gati manye kim punarjnanina. Hare, birds, bees, worms, they also are assured of elevation. तो कौन भक्ति नहीं करेगा. पीछे सुदूराचार हो, कितना भी पापी हो वो भी भक्ति कर सकता है. यत् करोषि यदश्नासि, and bhakti is very simple. That's how he quotes so many verses. And then in the last he quotes this very famous verse. Krite adhyayato Vishnu tretayam yajato makhai dvapare parichayayam kalau tadhari kirtana. So that's how he establishes the supremacy of yoga. Etan nirvidyamananam chatam kuto bhayam yoginam nipnirnitam harer nam anukirtinam. That's how one should practice devotional service only. And then in this next verse, it is etam matam samatishha. O Brahma, follow my instructions, samatishha, completely follow and remain fixed in my instructions with paramena samadhina. Bhakti कैसे करना है? Paramena samadhi, with fixed concentration. Bhavan kalpa vikalpeshu. If you do like this, एकदम तीव्र भक्ति करेंगे with all determination, तो क्या होगा? Na vimuhyanti. You will not be bewildered. Kab? Kalpa, vikalpa. In this day, in the next day, in your entire life, you will not be bewildered. That is the process. The bhajan should be steady. निश्चित भजन करेंगे तो ये रिजल्ट मिलेगा. So that's what Krishna is telling to Brahmaji. Please do steady bhakti. If you want to be free from pride and illusion. So Prabhupada writes in the purport. Krishna has summarized the whole text in 4 verses. Thus, the secret of the most important Bhagavad-type conclusion has been explained by the original speaker of Bhagavatam. So this is the conclusion. Chatushlok is the conclusion of the entire Bhagavatam. And here, now Krishna advised Brahmaji not to be deviated from the conclusions. Don't get deviated. Now muhyanti. Please don't get it. Paramen samadhi. Samadhi se bhakti karenge to na muhyanti. You will not be bewildered. And then Prabhupada writes that the misinterpretation of the word aham by the word jugglery should not disturb the mind of the followers of Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the text of the personality of Godhead and his unalloyed devotees, who are also known as Bhagavatams. And any outsider should have no access to this confidential literature of devotional service. Only a devotee can understand. So therefore, Lord is warning Brahmaji that please follow in the line of previous devotees and be fixed in this knowledge in parampara system. So that's what Prabhupada elaborates on in this purport. Prabhupada writes, one should not represent this knowledge according to his own whimsical, understanding. No one should try to squeeze out his own meaning by imperfect mundane knowledge. मुझे ऐसा लगता है, वो ऐसा नहीं करना है. Interpretation is not required. And that's what Prabhupada writes in the preface of Bhagavad Gita. Nobody should interpret this. If you interpret, the destination is hell. That's what Prabhupada is writing here. You should not interpret. Just approach a guru and learn from him. In that way, you will be happy. Evam prasanna manaso. Prabhupada quotes that word. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. You will be happy if you present and study like this. And to that person who is practicing steady bhakti, Krishna himself gives the knowledge. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti dadami buddhi yogam. So Krishna himself gives. So that's how this entire Chatushloki is given. And then the last, Prabhupada writes in the last paragraph, therefore Bhagavatam means consciousness of the Supreme Lord. And Bhagavatam is the sound representation of the Lord. Thus, the conclusion is that Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of the Lord, in which the Lord and his abode are perfectly realized. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Bhakti, Jai, Rudra, Srimad Bhagavatam.
Jai.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी पंचांग प्रणाम.
पंचांग प्रणाम. अच्छा.